Hello guys, welcome to Soccernet Weekly. My name is Joba, Ogunwale, the chief editor of Soccernet.ng, and I'm here once again with Lolade Adewuyi, the managing editor of Soccernet.ng. Lolade, how are you doing?
Hi, Joba. Good to see you. Hello, guys. Welcome once again. It's a great week. Yesterday, the Premier League returned, and we're just, the football world is buzzing again, and just happy to be here. But today, we've got a guest for the first time. It won't be just two of us, Joba and myself. Today, we've got Solace Chukwu, who is the editor of the supersub.com and a columnist at Africa at goal.com. So, Solace, welcome to the show. Welcome to Soccernet Weekly.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here, Lolade. Thank you very much.
Great. So, Joba, what are we discussing this week?
We actually have a big fish today on our show. But anyways, hi Solace, nice to meet you. Did you catch any of the Premier League games yesterday?
I caught the first one, which was Sheffield United against Aston Villa. It was a real ball fest, to be honest. That little spark of controversy in the second half with Sheffield goal that wasn't given kind of livened it up, but the experience itself wasn't much to write home about in the end.
Okay, yeah. But speaking about the Premier League, there was an article of yours that I read about Alex Iwobi. I think that was before when football was just suspended. About you saying nothing has really changed with Alex Iwobi since he moved to Everton. I would like you to shed more light on it. Like what has gone wrong for him, and is there any way he can probably return to the heights when he first broke out at Arsenal?
I wouldn't really say much has gone wrong for him at Everton. It's more a case of very little has gone right so far. He's kind of been in one place since he moved there. In the first place, I personally was of the opinion that leaving Arsenal for Everton wasn't a great idea, but hey, it was eventually the Gunners who decided to cut ties with Alex Iwobi. They needed the money after making significant investments last summer, so they needed to let him go. He went to Everton, took a bit of time to find his feet, but just as he was finding his feet, of course, they had a change of manager. They brought in Carlo Ancelotti, and the very first opportunity he had to impress the Italian manager, incidentally against Arsenal at Goodison Park, he got injured. Barely, I think about 11 minutes into the game, I had to be taken off. So Ancelotti walked through the squad, kind of developed some understandings between certain players, and figured out what worked for him. And by the time Alex Iwobi got back into the team, it was kind of settled already. So he's had two different periods of reintegration, neither of which was exactly complete at Everton. So in that way, the first season at Everton has kind of been a write-off for him, unfortunately. It could definitely be a lot better. I believe with a proper preseason at Goodison, next term he will be in a better position to contribute to the Toffees.
Yeah, but speaking about next season, do you think the last 12 games or 11 games remaining in the Premier League, do you think he's fighting to feature in Ancelotti's plans for next season?
Well, it's the circumstances, of course, with the resumption of football are difficult. So it's not exactly straightforward to say what managers' objectives are by the end of the season. With the whole 5 substitute thing and players short on fitness, of course, a lot of players will get opportunities to play. There'll be ample opportunity for players to get on and show what they can do. Whether Ancelotti exactly is using that as a means to gauge his suitability, going forward is a different matter entirely. But I would think that's really harsh for a manager to use these extenuating circumstances and this period to try and make definitive assessments of players. That would be a little counterproductive as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, the Liverpool-Everton game on Sunday will be a really a good test case to see if Iwobi will feature in Ancelotti's plans for the season. So we will see. But I think it was a good opportunity for him to have moved to Everton under leaving Arsenal in the circumstances that he did, but there was going to be added pressure on him to participate. To become a star, because he's now a franchise in American parlance, a franchise player, having been brought in at that high cost, But it's something that I hope he really fulfills. We need him as Nigeria to improve on his talent. He can't afford to fall by the wayside,
Yeah, actually, he started the season very well. I think in his first 3 games or so, he scored in 2 consecutive games. Then he went on a run of, I think, 13 games or so without doing anything. But my own criticism of Iwobi has always been he's more like just any other player in that Everton team. And I don't think Everton bought him for that reason. I think he was brought in to probably influence games for the trophy. So I don't think he has been able to do that. Or what do you think, Solace?
I think it's important to understand exactly the kind of player Iwobi is. He's very much a continuity player. He's someone who you bring in to facilitate others. He's not so much when I say the difference maker, I mean like someone who can really affect a game by going on this lazy 60-yard run and hitting shots from outside the area or something. He's a much subtler player. He helps the entire team play well. He helps the team flow. So that's really the way he plays. That's his game. And Everton surely knew that before they shelled out for him. I think he can be useful if used properly. So far, we haven't really seen much of that. They've tended to use him mostly on the right as a kind of backup player for when they take off your Walcott or something. And we know Ancelotti's system is a 4-4-2. There's no real place for number 10 in it. So they need to fit him into the team in the first place before we can begin to question whether or not we are seeing the best of Alex Iwobi.
Okay. Hopefully, the next 10 games will give us a true view of what Ancelotti has in store for Iwobi. But moving away from Iwobi, La Liga also resumed last weekend, and someone caught the eye, and that's Samuel Chukwueze. He came in the game against, was it Celta Vigo? Yeah. And I think he had a hand in Carlos, Chukwueze's goal. And on Tuesday also, he provided the assist for Carlos Bacca's goal. But there have been criticism about him not reaching the heights of last season. What do you really think has gone wrong for? And he has managed just 14 starts this season compared to 19 starts he managed in his debut season. So what do you think has gone wrong for Chukwueze also this season?
I think when Samuel Chukwueze broke out last season, there was a lot of excitement about what exactly he could do. He's someone who's really pacey, can dribble, and really took a lot of fullbacks for lunch, as it were. But coming into the second season, it was always going to be a little more difficult because he was no longer this unknown quantity who was sort of fascinating for people. He was now someone who defenders could actually plan for and try and figure out, okay, what does he do and how can I combat that? And we saw that at the start of the season, Chukwueze really struggled to hit those levels of performance. I mean, he's someone who plays on the right and is left-footed, so invariably, he's going to want to cut inside, and that kind of made defenders' jobs easier, in earlier games. So that Villarreal they played it a little smartly. They took him out of the side a bit and let the rest of the team play, and then sort of they've been introducing him as an impact player. But lately, we are seeing a more rounded Chukwueze in terms of what he's trying to do, rather than always coming inside all the time. He's trying to go on the outside. He's trying to vary his runs a little bit more, and we saw the benefit of that in his assist against for Carlos Bacca the other day. So I think it was always going to be more difficult for him the second season around, but if he keeps at it and if he understands the role he's been asked to play by the manager, And if he continues on this path of, adding more strings to his bow, it would really bring the best out of him down the line.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that, okay, he had to change some styles in his game. Samuel Eto'o and Frederick Kanute came out to say, okay, he needs to be a little bit less selfish and he needs to be more of a team player. But if you compare Ian Robben's game, I think that's who he looks up to also. And Chukwueze models his game based on Ian Robben. But you really think it's something that he needs to change his style and become more of a team player, which has been the case this season. For example, in the win against Celta Vigo, I think his link-up play with Carlos Bacca was impressive, and also we saw it also on Tuesday. But do you really think he needs to probably maybe pass the ball a little bit more and maybe do away with dribbles, or do you think he just needs to stay with his game?
Yeah, he could definitely benefit from being more of a team player. But really, here's the thing: football is about output. It's about results. If he plays the way he's been playing, which is a little less team oriented, a little more inclined towards seeking personal glory, the team wouldn't really mind if he's actually scoring goals. So that's something he has to actually add to his game. He has to add end product if he's going to play the way he's been playing. I mean, you talked about Ian Robben. Robben was someone who, before Pep Guardiola rocked up at Bayern Munich, was a little bit more one note, a little less team oriented, but you could see that he could carry the team in terms of goals and assists. So everybody kind of gave him a pass for, okay, this is this special guy who can break the game apart. So we'll let him do his thing. We'll just give him the ball and we'll see what he can do with it. He may not necessarily pass when we want him to pass, but hey, if you let him go on, he can score a worldie for you. So if Samuel Chukwueze could incorporate that, that would obviously be helpful for him. But in terms of being a more complete player, yes, he could be a lot less selfish. I kind of stirred the honestness a little bit on social media a couple of months back when I said I didn't like the celebration. I thought it was a little showy and a little, hey, look at me. And for a young player who is playing with a team of veterans who are working hard to make you look good, it kind of it seemed a little bit too egocentric for me. But hey, that was just the way I looked at it. So it's not just his pace, his entire mindset. He needs to get into the mindset of the team, at least until he gets to the point where he can consistently affect games in terms of goals and assists.
Yeah, Lolade, you wrote about him last year about him being the Nigeria's golden boy. Do you have anything to add also?
Yeah, I think maybe it was too early to declare him as the next most marketable star, but I mean he still has more. I mean, he has more years ahead of him. But he made a good marketing decision last year, signing on with Rock Nation Sports, which definitely gave his brand a great lift globally. Getting a tweet from DJ Khaled welcoming him to Rock Nation. This is really good, stuff that in terms of branding. But for the greatest players in the world, the most marketable players in the world, their branding is not just off the pitch. Their branding is on the pitch. They start marketing themselves from their performances, from the goals they score, from the awe-inspiring moves they make. So Chukwueze shouldn't get too carried away by this branding and marketing move. And I think, like Solace said, second season in the top flight will be more difficult. Defenders know more about you. You've had a breakthrough season, and now they are prepared. They are more prepared for you. They study you. So it's going to be more difficult. Now he needs to rise up beyond all these things on and off the pitch. We don't know his mental state. His team, he's young and everything. So, but he needs to put everything together to get into a place where he can rise to, fulfill the potential that he has. He's really got great potential. He's always patterned his game after Ian Robben. So it's important that he lives up to that potential and improves, gets goals again, gets great assists, and with the return of the league now, having already an assist, in the second game. So I hope for him that the season ends well at the end of the day.
Oh, Solace, just one more question before we leave Chukwueze matter. This is the second season at Villarreal, and there are people saying he needs to leave Villarreal now to move to a bigger club. Do you also believe in this opinion that he needs to leave Villarreal this season?
I, to be honest, I've never really considered that a priority for him as a player. I think he's at the stage of his career where he needs consistent game time, and he needs also to be able to, he needs a little less pressure to figure out exactly what he can be and how far his abilities can take him in terms of breadth. So I think he's actually at the perfect place for himself right now. Villarreal are a stable Spanish club, upper mid-table. They occasionally they could even qualify for the Europa League even. So they are just the right level of club. He's seeing as many minutes as the coach believes he deserves. And when he's been able to play, he's able to show that little spark of something to say, okay, yes, this potential is still there. It's not completely gone. So less pressure, playing time consistently. And like if you noticed, in the game against Celta Vigo, he was brought on with the game in the balance. So obviously the manager sees him as someone who is useful not just for cameos, but also to affect the actual state of the game. So what that tells you is that he's just a little way away from actually starting. He just needs to add some other things, maybe greater defensive awareness, be more to have greater concentration, be more switched on when the team doesn't have the ball, and also make better decisions in possession. So he's just a little way away. I mean, upending all of that and moving him to a new club is just unnecessary upheaval at this time, and there's no guarantee that he plays more at a bigger club unless it's a club like maybe RB Leipzig, who are extraordinarily committed to young players and bringing them through. So just stay where he should just stay where he is as
Yeah,
far as I'm concerned.
I think I agree with you also. Yesterday, Premier League returned. Lolade, from the financial aspects, what do you think this means for the Premier League as a brand?
I think it's important that the Premier League has returned. I was afraid, at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic that they were going to end the league just like France unfortunately did. I'm betting that the French are biting, blaming themselves for having ended the league on halfway now that every other league is back. It's a shame that they did that. I was afraid for England that it was going to come to that because of the amount of the number of people that have unfortunately died. And but the Premier League being what it is, it's returned, and football in its glory has come back without the fans. But yesterday I watched Arsenal Man City and saw the special effect sounds in the stadium, which was good for me as a fan to at least hear some sound, not just the ball and the gruntings of the footballers, but also as a brand. You look at the Premier League, the biggest football league in the world, having been hit by the coronavirus, and Financial Times reported that they had to pay back £170 million to Sky Sports because of failure to deliver games to them. So the economic impact will still be felt for a while. But now that they're back, I think it brings us back to the weekly drama that we've always loved. And I think they can make up ground, but the clubs, everybody needs to now look at how to manage the future without fans in the stadium, without gate takings. Many things are going to change economically for these clubs. So, and the way it will affect transfers, still the big clubs are talking millions hundreds of millions of pounds in transfers. It's as if they, they still have so much money somewhere. It's strange, in a time of belt tightening and things. It's strange that they're still talking millions of pounds in transfer fees, but maybe the football bubble will still hold. I don't know. We'll see over the next few months.
Yeah, Chelsea. I think Chelsea agreed a almost over a 50 million euro deal with Timo Werner. So I think clubs still have money to spend. And sorry about yesterday's results, though. I know you're an Arsenal fan also.
Yeah, both Solace and I don't know. I don't know if Solace has finally divorced that heartbreaking team, but it's crazy.
I wish it was that easy, to be honest.
It's so tough, But you just come these days. It's like the same thing over and over. You go for 3 months and then you come. But maybe the unfortunate thing is that you've come back to face Man City. It's never fair facing Man City. To their home, they're so strong, they're so tactically good with Pep Guardiola's brain working well. They're such an amazing ball playing team, and you are always going to play second fiddle. But it also now boils down to the fact that there's no grit in that Arsenal team. You see smaller teams coming through to even, play draws or, and fight. You don't see that sometimes in the Arsenal when it comes to playing against Man City, which is a shame. They just let them walk around. It's just like hot knife in butter. They just open it. And then David Luiz, being who he is, the Maverick, he just, like we say, he just forehand,
What do you think of David Luiz's performance yesterday, Solace?
I don't even know. I think in many ways performance is a very apt word, because I didn't consider it that he came to play football. He came to perform. It was almost a comedy routine, really. Everything that could possibly go wrong with that performance went wrong, and as you saw it all unfold, you kind of understood exactly why he wasn't penciled in to start in the first place. So for Arsenal's sake, I hope that Pablo Mari, who went off early in the game, is all right, and I hope that whatever plans Mikel Arteta has personnel-wise can still be salvaged, because now that's 2 injuries, unfortunately. So yeah.
Sorry to Arsenal fans. Hope you could bounce back against Brighton. I think you play Brighton next.
Yes, way to Brighton. But there are big games this weekend: Tottenham, Manchester United, Liverpool, Everton. We look forward to seeing.
I was hoping Arsenal would do us a favor by beating City, so we could beat Everton and win the league at the same time. Obviously, we have to beat ourselves now.
Yeah, you have to wait a while longer to win that title. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back to the flashback moment. And Solace, I think this is exclusively for you. You've been writing about Nigeria's best games in the 21st century. Why did you come up with such story?
Well, obviously, as we know, there was no football for a number of months, unfortunately, and that presented a problem for football junkies like myself. So there was basically nothing in terms of actual live football going on, and I've always been someone who spends a lot of time looking through important games in history and stuff. So I figured, okay, this is a good time to do something like this. It wasn't something that I'd seen a lot of people doing, and it struck me as particularly interesting. When you think about it, this 21st century has kind of, in terms of the Nigerian national team, we've kind of seen fortunes of the team go down and then slowly picking back up now. So it was interesting trawling through all of that to try and pick out 10 games or 10 performances that were really, really good, and hark back to better times for the national team. So yeah, that was really my thought process at the time.
I've been reading through, and it's enjoyable. In fact, there are games. I think you mentioned the Nigeria versus Sudan's game that we won for new. You've written about three stories, matches, which is Nigeria versus Sudan, Nigeria
Oh,
versus
actually.
four. Okay,
Yeah.
what which I know of Nigeria versus Sudan, Nigeria versus Cameroon, Nigeria versus Burkina Faso, the AFCON final.
Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire, not
Cote
Burkina Faso.
d'Ivoire. Then
Yeah.
which other one?
The most recent one was against Sierra Leone in 2008. Yes, World Cup qualifier, I think it was. Yeah.
But how did you arrive at these four games?
I like I said, it's about performances really. So I try to look away from the from just the score lines themselves, and I take into account the context of the game, the expectation at the time, uh, a lot of different stuff really. How the team performed tactically, if there was anything interesting that I thought helped the team gain victory on the day. So there was really more to it than just seeing, okay, where are the big wins, because that's easy enough. There are, much as people like to say there are no minnows in football nowadays, there still are. It's just really a matter of preparation. So it's easy enough to look at big results and say, okay, yeah, this is. But when you think about it, some big results don't necessarily connote great performances. So, for example, from the 2004 Africa Cup of Nations, I picked out the game against Cameroon, but I didn't touch on the game against South Africa, which we won 4-0, because I didn't think that performance was particularly great. Just it was a big win. So that's really my thought process.
Okay, so you still have like 6 games to go.
Yes, yes.
So
The,
are
the,
there
the
any?
fifth one is actually out today, so that's
Uh,
something to look out for.
okay, okay. So are there any potential games you want to run us through that? Okay, that will make your list.
I think I'd much rather just let the readers kind of find that out as time goes on. So yeah, it's actually been a little bit of fun, asking people to guess what games make it into the list and what games don't. I think people might actually be pleasantly surprised. One of the prefaces I put in the piece is, don't be surprised, you might get a defeat in there, because we know football is a very low scoring game and it's prone to chance and stuff. So I think it's possible for a team to play really well and not win. So don't be surprised if you see that in there. Like, let people find out as
Okay,
time
okay.
goes on what we did and what didn't.
So let me come in here. You've written about 5 great games. We're expecting 5 more. What are the worst games that Nigeria has played in this
Oh boy.
period?
Worst games. I don't know. Would I want to do a series on that? I don't think I would. Worst games. I don't know. I think I might pick something from within the same time period. Obviously, I might pick something from the 20 uh, from the 2014 World Cup against Iran. I think that is I didn't watch every game in that World Cup, but that was a good candidate for pretty much the most boring game in that World Cup, because
That was the first
I
new
think it
name
was
as
the
well.
first draw.
It was first draw. It's interesting
I think it
that
was
you
the first
brought
draw.
this up. Yeah, I was there in Curitiba in the stadium, and after a while, the Brazilian fans, Brazilians love football. They live
Yes.
football. And I think it was the home ground of Curitiba Football Club or something. So the fans started chanting the songs of the local club, because they couldn't stand the ball first. They couldn't stand the annoyance they were watching, the cagey football that I think Nigeria tried to play better, but it was just Iran that just they didn't want to go forward or to move out of their, So, and then the Brazilians started chanting the songs for their club just to keep themselves active and engaged.
Yeah.
I think really is one of the worst football games ever that Brazilians have ever watched on their own soil.
Yeah.
Are there any other games that you feel okay we are not up to?
I'd say also the game against Angola away from home in 2006 World Cup qualifying. The story behind that game is one we all know. A lot of players didn't bother turning up. Even the captain of the side, JJ Okocha, kind of played this cat and mouse game with the NFF about whether he was going to be there or not going to be there. So it was a complete mess, and we got into that game with a very depleted squad. I think we only traveled out, and somehow the team held out. I was reading some quotes, and Joseph Yobo was really despairing of how the game played out. In his own words, he said the midfield of the team completely crashed. So it was just wave after wave of pressure, and it seemed almost inevitable in the end. So when Fabrice Aqua scored, it was like important. You know, one of those I was, because this goal is going to be very, very important. So at the end of the day, we saw that was eventually the result that denied Nigeria a place at the World Cup. So that definitely goes down as one of the worst games.
Oh, Lolade, do you have any games that also come to mind?
Maybe losing to Madagascar. You know, it's terrible. But you know, there are some games that we played leading up to the 2014 World Cup that we didn't even get to see on TV. Going away to, was it Malawi or somewhere, where we played 1-1. I didn't get to see that game. It wasn't on TV. We couldn't find it anywhere, you know. There are some games that we've played in the past, and you wonder, is this Nigeria? And like, we just go into these games with defeatist mentality, you know. But I mean, I'm thankful that we are in a time where the team is getting back into a place where you can say, okay, we won't get beaten now. We've got this core of young players that are really good, and we should be able to, you know, do well. Maybe the next question for Solace is, where do you see Gernot Rohr's young team going in the future, the nearest future?
I think we can't really talk about the future of this Nigerian team without looking at the targets they've been set. Obviously, there's been a lot of reaction to the fact that the NFF has mandated him to win the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations, or 2022, whenever that holds, and also qualify for the World Cup. Qualifying for the World Cup seems easy enough in itself, because, like you said, this is a very young team that's fairly enterprising, fairly exciting, and they've shown in recent qualifiers for the Africa Cup of Nations that they are capable of overcoming adversity. Ross said something recently in an interview. He said he was pleased to see that they weren't stunned by going behind in those games against Benin and Lesotho. They were able to bounce back. They weren't kind of shell-shocked. So, yeah, it's a team with a very high ceiling. You can see some of the stuff he's trying to add to the team. He's making the team younger. They're playing a little quicker now. They seem more settled in the idea of football that Gernot Rohr wants them to play. He wants to attack very quickly through the wingers and move the team up the pitch that way. And so far, it's worked pretty well. I don't think the idea of them winning 2021 Africa Cup of Nations is a far-fetched one. Nigeria is reasonably one of the teams that can expect to be considered favorites for that tournament. Obviously, once you look past the likes of Algeria, who put us out the last time, and Senegal, you can't really pinpoint many African teams that are markedly better than Nigeria. So Nigeria is definitely in the mix there. Whether that target in itself is a trap or a legitimate expectation from the NFF or whatever it is, because there's this whole thing about we not knowing if they are just trying to get Rohr out of the way by making his targets so stringent or whatever. So nobody really knows how that works out in the end. But if they stick with him, I definitely can see Nigeria challenging for the Africa Cup of Nations and qualifying for the World Cup. If we get a favorable draw at the World Cup, I can see the team qualifying for the group. And we know knockout football, once you get out of the group, anything is possible. But when you see a team like this that is settled in its identity and is able to attack very quickly, it kind of puts me in mind of the Senegal team of 2002. It wasn't a star-studded team. It was just a team that had a lot of pace, and they understood how they were trying to play football and how the coach wanted them to play, and they executed very, very well on the world stage. So I say the sky is the limit.
Maybe one final question from me. Which of players are you most excited about? You know, that you were happy to see, to watch play, and to see their development right now.
Okay, this is a boring answer, but Victor Osimhen, because he's a player that he broke out on a 17 level, and even then you could see that he had a lot of potential. Even though he was a bit awkward, a little gangly on the ball, you know, kind of like this reed, but he was so full of energy, so full of running, and able to carry the team on his back even then. But to watch him develop now, you can see all the little nuances he's adding to his game. He used to be this really shot-hungry guy, just get me the ball in the final third and I'll find a way to shoot. But his hold-up play is improving, his link-up play is improving. He's taking his time now in front of goal, not rushing stuff. It's remarkable to see how he's growing and watching him do that week on week. And I mean, it's one thing for a player to, it's one thing for a coach to want to improve a player, but it's another thing for the player to take that on board. And you're seeing him take on board what he's getting from the coaching crew at Lille and adding that to his game and trying stuff actually. And sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. But that willingness to keep plugging away at it means that even while he's learning on the job, he's still pretty good at what he does. So it's hard for me to look at him and say, okay, this is where his development is going to stop, because he just keeps going up and up. And I don't see what the limit is for him in terms of what kind of player he can become. So he excites me a lot. I can see him leading the line for the Super Eagles for many, many years to come, which is kind of why I personally don't understand the talk around the Odion Igalo coming back. I think it's a bit of a distraction, but I mean, he's a Nigerian, so if he wants to, we can't deny that. But I think that would just clog things up for Osimhen. This is very much his team in a way. When you look at him and Wilfred Ndidi, they are really the stalwarts of this team, and the team should, as much as possible, lean into their abilities and grow from there.
Yeah. Well, one final question before we wrap up the show. Still on Osimhen. Liu looks like they're selling in this summer. Do you think it's will be a good move for? I think Napoli are leading the race to sign him, but there are other clubs also. Do you think? I asked you about Chukwueze. You said okay, it's preferable he stays at Villarreal to continue his development. But what do you think about Osimhen leaving Liu this summer?
I think Osimhen's situation at Lille is complicated by the fact that Lille have a very set business model, and they generally need to sell on players for massive profits. So obviously, if there are good offers coming in, they are obliged to listen to them. That's the kind of club that they are. In terms of how that works out for Osimhen himself, I'm not necessarily in favor of him moving right now. I think there's still a lot of scope for him to grow. Like I said, he's learning on the job at Lille. And one of the benefits of Ligue 1 is that this is a league that is very patient towards young players. And he's able to, try stuff, like I said, even though it doesn't come off. Leo generates a lot of expected goals. XG, I know, taboo word in some people's football pounds, but they create a lot of goal scoring chances for him to try stuff with. So sometimes he misses and sometimes he scores, but there's that patience and that understanding that, okay, this is the way we play football. Moving on to a club like Napoli, for example, this is a club that creates fewer goal scoring chances. I think I did a piece on their expected goal numbers and tried to work out how that might affect what club Osimhen goes to. And Napoli are not really that impressive, even though last night they won the Coppa Italia against Juventus in interesting fashion. I'm not sure they are exactly a good pick for Osimhen. So if Osimhen, ideally you'd want Osimhen to remain where he is, but if he has to move, I think there are a lot of things that need to come into the consideration. What kind of club is he going to? How do they play? Do they create enough chances to excuse his mistakes? Will they give him enough time to mature? What kind of league is it? Does he put a lot of pressure on players? What's the immediate expectation on him going to be? So that's a lot of things to take into account for him as a player. But unfortunately, with Lille's transfer model, I don't know if you have that much say in how things pan out. So this is a very crucial summer coming up for Victor Osimhen.
That's true. Anyways, thank you for your time, Solace. It's really been a session of knowledge. Like, you're one of the big fish, Ejanla. So I really enjoy reading your piece and listening to you talk on whatever podcasts they have you on. So it's good having you here. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for joining us, Solace. We appreciate you. Yeah, one of the big fish, like Joba said. That's a joke between you and I, but it's fine. Thank you, man. Thank you. So, Joba, thank you. Next week again.
Yeah, we'll come back again next week. Premier League returns fully on Friday. Tottenham versus Manchester United kicking off with Seville's. Then Sevilla returns also this weekend. Also, Sevilla returns. So we have football back. So that means
football is back.
Yeah, the weekend is lit. So we'll be back again, guys, next week. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.